everybody. Welcome to Eat the Hatchet. It's your host, Steve, and today we're doing a game recap for the Blackhawks versus Utah Hockey Club. Terrible name. 5-2 loss on March 30th, Sunday. So we'll be covering that today. And real quick, I am sipping on a little brewski. I got a from the Coachella Valley Brewing Company, hazy IPA. It's not bad. So I'll be sipping on that a little bit, but I thought I deserved something after today, where we got to see some exciting prospects showcase in the NHL, make their NHL debuts. Exciting stuff for Blackhawk fans, and even though they didn't get a win today, I thought this game wasn't all that disheartening. We'll get into how Sam Rinzel and Oliver Moore did. First, some quick housekeeping stuff. I am probably going to be posting this with or alongside my game recap at ontapsportsnet.com. That's where you can find all of my written stuff. Sometimes I'll post alongside these episodes on Substack, where you can find other written stuff. Most of my stuff, pretty much all of it's on Tap Sports. And you can find me on Twitter at DirtyThird81. I am also dabbling in Instagram, and that's going to be more of my wider writings, right? Just not sports and all that stuff. But haven't really figured that piece out. We'll see. I've tried Instagram before, and it's just a pain in the ass, I'll be honest. But that's it for housekeeping. Also, I just want to say, ESPN Plus, your feed sucks. I'm not sure if it was CHSN. Somebody on Twitter said it was, because they were having some audio issues. For the entire game, the audio was clipping, like 2 seconds on, 2 seconds off, and it was beyond annoying. I was tempted to try to find the WGN radio feed and kind of sync it up with the TV. I don't know how to do that, so I just didn't. So that was beyond frustrating. I'm not gonna lie, because I'm paying money for this, and there are ways on the internet where you don't have to pay for it, but I'm a law-abiding citizen, and Big Brother who's listening, like I pay for my shit, so I kind of expect it to work, which it didn't. Sorry, a little sip. I'm gonna have to try to figure out how to make that work, but there's like 2 people listening to this, I think, so you can deal with this. Yeah, so Blackhawks lost 5-2, and the game was closer than what the score looks like. Blackhawks had 29 shots on goal, Utah had 31, and the goals didn't really start coming around the halfway mark. Yeah, second period. Towards the end of the second period was when let me backtrack real quick. So they didn't score at all in the first period. Utah opened up the scoring. Blackhawks followed up with 2 goals. So 2-1 lead, and then Utah right away back-to-back goals. They get a 3-1 lead going into the third. And then just a little over halfway the third period, they scored twice, so 5-2. So you don't love to see it, but hey, it is what it is, right? But those goals were mostly, I don't want to say it was all on Arvid Soder. I mess his name up all the time. Soderblom. I don't think those goals were all on Arvid Soderblom's fault. Partially, because I want to say almost all of them, if not all of them, were redirections. There was one goal I can't remember off the top of my head where it was a rebound, and it was like what we saw last year, where his rebound control sucks, and Arvid let in some of those weak goals. Now, this was emphasized with some really bad defense, right? Which we'll get into, but Soderblom, Bloom, he absolutely could have stopped some of those, if not most of them. So, he didn't have a great game, and it'll happen. And I can pull up his stats really quick too. So let's see. He saved 26 on 31 shots. So his save percentage was a .839. Not great. That's not good at all. And yeah, he didn't have a good night. But that first goal, that was kind of started because of a Connor Bedard giveaway in the offensive zone. Kind of turned the puck over, and that'll happen. I'm not going to hold these kind of mistakes too much against Bedard, just because I want him to be creative, and the only way to really figure out what you can do out there in the NHL is to kind of make those mistakes. So, and this is not going to be the last time we'll see it. We'll see it next year, and then people are going to complain and call it pond hockey and all this other nonsense, but he'll figure it out, right? So that second goal was a weird deflection. I saw Korchinski. He was trying to do something behind the net, try to stop it, but it didn't really work out, right? 1 second. Yeah, sorry. We'll try to make that a little bit more smoother. I don't really got any jokes to tell you while I sneak in a sip, but yeah, the third goal, Korchinski, he was battling with Kerfoot in front of the crease, and Korchinski just couldn't move him. You could tell he was trying, and it looked like he was legitimately cross-checking the dude, but Kerfoot didn't even notice him, and he was able to tip in a goal. So that happened. Fourth goal, Vlasic, he was trying to break the puck out, hand it over to Levchinov. Levchinov turned it over, and then Utah scored. So right there we get a mistake from one of the younger defensemen, and like I said, that's going to happen, right? That's how they learn. So can't be too mad. Fifth goal, there was a Ryan Donato turnover, and that one too, if I'm trying to remember, that was a weird redeflection. So yeah, 5 goals for Utah. And for the Blackhawks, we have, let me just pull it up. I lost it for a second. Here we go. So Joe Veleno, he scored. That's his 7th of the season. And then Ryan Donato, of course, scored again with Bedard getting the assist. So that's 29 goals for Ryan Donato. And that is 38 assists for your boy, Connor Bedard. Now, for Veleno, I did want to just say, he's been kind of underrated a little bit. Not really. I don't want to pump his tires too much, but he has 2 goals, 2 assists, and he's played 10 games with the Blackhawks. So it's not crazy, but more recently, he's been looking more noticeable. I don't know if it's because of, he's getting more comfortable, but yeah, he's got, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4. In his last 4 games, he's got 4 points. So, good job. But in this game, his fancy stats weren't good, so I'm not even going to bother. There's other players I want to talk about with those nerd numbers. So, let's get right into it. Sam Rinzel, right? And I think this is a good opportunity to give him a little cheers. So, Sam, cheers. Hopefully that wasn't awkward. But, yeah, he looked awesome. His skating is amazing. He was making good defensive plays, and offensively, he was killing it. And that's kind of what I don't even say I was expecting it, right? If he wasn't noticeable for a defenseman, a young defenseman, that's fine. It's when they don't make mistakes and they're kind of just out there playing. That's fine. Rinzel was noticeable in all of the right ways. I did notice that he made a couple mistakes, really tiny ones. I can't remember. I didn't really specifically note. I probably did. I just don't want to scroll and waste you guys already have to listen to me take awkward sips of beer. That's not going to stop either. So, Rinzel, he looked great. And he made an amazing play where Utah was making a breakout, and he stood up the blue line and created a turnover, and then immediately took the puck into Utah's offensive zone, or I guess the Blackhawks offensive zone. that was awesome. That's some good shit that you want to see from Rinzel. He had a 51 Corsi and a 45 expected goal share. So, not great, right? It's not awesome, but considering the rest of the team, fine. He played for a total of 19 minutes and 58 seconds. That's pretty good. And he had 4 shots on goal and 6 shot attempts. And there was a couple of moments where he looked like he was going to score his first NHL goal. A couple times, right? I want to say maybe 3 times, but I'm pretty sure it was twice. That's really impressive. Now, I'm kind of pessimistic, so I don't want to get too excited and trying to wait and see how he's going to be in the next game. But you have to really, really like what we saw from Sam Rinzel. And there was a quote from Frank Saravalli of the Daily Faceoff where he was saying that he doesn't think that Rinzel should play a second in the AHL. And I think this is going to be kind of divisive among the fan base because a lot of Blackhawks fans are traumatized by a lot of what Stan Bowman did. One of those things was rushing prospects, specifically a young defenseman. They didn't like, it's not that they didn't like, it's a fact that Bowman didn't let a lot of young defensemen develop and rush them into the NHL, and it ruined them. And it's kind of left a scar. For Rinzel, I'm going to have to agree with Frank on this one in that, and this is only one game, so I'm not going to die on this hill by any means, but just from this one game alone, I don't think he should go to the AHL. And I'm going to hold off any judgment on that, for sure, until, hell, you can't even say that until training camp, right? Because things could change. So, just to put some realistic spin on it, I guess, he just finished playing in the NCAA tournament. So his, he's kind of at the top of his game right now. His adrenaline's going. And, oh yeah, this sounds very familiar to when Frank Nazar first joined last season after his NCAA tournament ended his season early, right? And Nazar literally got a goal on his first shot on goal in the NHL, his first shift. So that does have a little bit of a factor, I think. And if I'm pretty 99% sure Rinzel is going to play in Rockford, which wouldn't be a bad thing. I don't think, because Davidson has made it where it's, he doesn't want to rush prospects, right? They're going to take some time to develop. So for Rinzel to stay in the NHL, and I don't even know. But if he goes to the AHL, it's not going to hurt his game. It's just the only thing is if you're watching what he did today, his instinct, that's stuff that he can develop and fine tune at the NHL level. He doesn't need to go to the AHL. Now, we still need more games to really figure out what his weaknesses are and all that stuff. And I am by no means a prospect freak out person or whatever, but from what I've seen, I've liked it. But I don't know. That's enough on Rinzel. I think I'm gonna be repeating myself endlessly, but I thought he looked fantastic. I'm excited to see what he does for the rest of the season. There's 9 or 8 games left, but yeah. Oliver Moore was the other one that made his NHL debut, so I'm gonna give him a little cheers. Oliver, cheers. Yeah, it's a tall boy, so it takes a little second for the alcohol to kind of make its way down, and yeah. Anyways, stop being awkward. Moore, dude's fast, and that's what you notice when he's on the ice. He is a speed demon. He's flying up and down, but honestly, that was kind of all I noticed from him. His very first shift, he fell twice. I'm trying to remember. I don't think both of them were really his fault, but I got the sense he was a little nervous. But I mean, who wouldn't be nervous? So I don't even like ignore that. Like, come on, dude. But other than that, like, I think he's gonna like his. I don't want to say ceiling, but I think he's gonna just turn into a really solid third liner. If he does turn into a second liner, that's awesome, but I don't think he'll do it. But I mean, tonight he had 2 shots on goal and 2 shot attempts, and his fancy stats were actually pretty good. At 5-on-5, he had a 63 Corsi for rounding up. That's the team high. And then he had a 47% or 48% if we're rounding up, 48% expected goal share. So, good numbers. Dude's fast. That's kind of all I have on him. And that is absolutely a player I'm going to hold off on, like, making bold proclamations that he should not go to the AHL or anything ridiculous, like I said about Rinzel, who, by the way, was also playing power play 2 with Kevin Korchinski. And I don't got anything more to say about Moore, but real quick on that, kind of segueing into Korchinski's game tonight, like I said, that not mistake, but his inability to get Kerfoot out of the crease, I don't want to say that's a cause for concern. We just know what he needs to get better at, because the dude can skate. He's fast. He just needs to put on some size. So, like, Rinzel just needs to, like, hook up Korchinski with, like, some whey protein and, like, get on, like, like one of those crazy meat diets or whatever, and just get huge. Like, just get into the gym and get huge. So, yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Already talked about Veleno. Connor Bedard, he had that turnover, and 4 shots on goal, 7 shot attempts. Pretty nice. Just wait until I talk about another player. But Bedard, he looked solid. He looked good. His line with Ryan Donato and Mikheyev, they had a 44 Corsi and a 64 expected goal share. So even though they did not own the majority of the shot attempts, they had the better scoring chances. So that's what you want to see from your top offensive line. Hell yeah. So good job, guys. But Frank Nazar, he needs to learn how to finish. Last game, he had 3 breakaways and he couldn't finish. Fine, whatever. Today, I want to say he had 2 breakaways and again, couldn't finish. So I am not going to. I mean, look, I'm like a little bit more than halfway through this beer, so call me a lightweight. I don't care, but I guess I'll say it. I don't want him to be like a really spicy and shiny version of Andreas Athanasiou or Chris Versteeg, where they're super fast and they can't finish. Now, if you're like swearing at me right now, that's completely fair, because Nazar's on a higher level than those guys. And the reason why is because the skill that Nazar has is completely evident. You don't have to worry about it like with Athanasiou, because that's all he had was speed, right? Nazar has skill. He reads plays very well. He knows where to find Bedard, and he's always there when Bedard's looking for him. So that clues me into like this kid, like, he knows hockey, or as the kids say, like, he knows puck. But he just needs to learn how to finish his breakaways, and he'll get there. But to be a harsh critic, like, dude, come on, finish your breakaways, make some sick highlight reel goals. You can do it. He's scored before on the penalty shot after, I think, last season when he had one and he missed. Maybe that was in the shootout, but if he needs to work on something, he's gonna get it done. And so not even fair for me to even mention Nazar and Versteeg and Double A in the same sentence. So if you want to send me a hate message, I'll accept that. I'll eat that. But yeah, and don't worry, because I'm gonna redeem myself a little bit with me pumping his tires with get ready for this. So Frank Nazar had 11 shot attempts all strength. He had 5 shots on goal, and he had 10 scoring chances. That is absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that none of them went in, right? So, like, yeah. His line with Bertuzzi and Teravainen, they had 32 Corsi, which is straight up dookie. And then his expected goal share on that, well, that whole line's expected goal share, 20% rounding up, complete dookie. Those are the worst fancy stats for anybody. So dookie all around. But yeah, and just wanting to see Nazar's fancy stats individually. No, that's not what I'm looking. So his individual expected goal share is obviously the team high, and that was 65%. So that's really good. And individual expected goal is accounting for him. And then when I'm talking about expected goal share, like in general, that means like the Blackhawks at large, right? So like Frank Nazar, his expected goal share on the ice, which means the whole team at large, was 12%, right? So what that means is just like when he was on the ice, anytime he was on the ice, all the chances that were being created by the Blackhawks, 12% of those were expected to be goals, right? That's different from the individual expected goal share, which is just focusing on Bedard. So that's just a little bit of like some fancy stat nerding out, which I could probably type up something for those of you who don't know what it is. But bottom line is like individual expected goal share, dude was good. The on ice one was the whole Blackhawks. Everybody sucked. So like nothing shocking there. Is that it? I think it is. So yeah, that's it for the game. Big takeaway was Rinzel looked amazing. Moore looked nice, and then Nazar, dude, finish your shots. So I think now's a good time to look around the league, kind of like what I did last time, where I ended the episode, just checking on like the standings and stuff. So you know, let's okay. I'm gonna have to cheers this one. So Buffalo Sabres beat the Capitals 8-5. So here we go. Cheers. Yeah, that's amazing. Why? Well, because Buffalo sucks and they really needed that win. Not that it's going to get them into the playoffs, but because like I just feel really bad for everybody who's a fan of that team, and I don't mean that in a bad way because, yeah, you know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that, but good job, guys. Looking around, so Canadians won over the Panthers 4-2. The Sharks are getting absolutely spanked by Los Angeles 6-1. It's third period. They got nine minutes to go, so probably they're not done getting spanked. Let's see, Winnipeg and the Canucks 3-1. Vancouver lost. Jesus, I don't know why it's so hard for me to read. And then obviously Blackhawks, we already know about that. Wow. The Penguins won in overtime over the Senators 1-0. Of course, Sidney Crosby scored the goal. So, wow. For Islanders versus Islanders versus Hurricanes, 6-4. Hurricanes win. So, yeah. And then last game of the night, the Leafs versus the Ducks. The Leafs won. Ducks lost 3-2. And let's see if that changed anything in the standings. Again, I'm not going to read everything because that'd be incredibly boring. Only caring about the wild card. So, in the East, the Senators still hold the top wild card spot with 84 points. They're actually catching up to the Devils, who are in third place with 85. The Canadians have that second spot with 77. And it's a pretty tight race. So, the Rangers are somehow surviving with 77, obviously out of that wild card spot, and then the Blue Jackets have 75, and then we got two teams with 74, and that's the Red Wings and the Islanders. And technically the Penguins aren't eliminated yet, but they have 71 points. Something could happen. Like, that'd be crazy. But that's not going to happen. Don't even count on it. But in the West, excuse me, wild card 1 and 2 is tied, 87 points. The Wild and St. Louis. It's looking pretty, I don't want to say set, but like Vancouver has 81 points, and it just sucks because like in the East, I really want to see the Blue Jackets go in there, and then that's like kind of who I'm rooting for. And then in the West, like I hate the Wild and I hate St. Louis. I also hate the Canucks, and I don't want any of them to be in a wild card spot. And if you're like if you're wondering why, it's like this is a Blackhawks podcast, so if that hurt your feelings, like I don't know what you're doing here. So I guess like the Calgary Flames, who have 80 points, they're not gonna make it, but like they should probably do something to get better, because I don't want to see any of those teams getting there. And then Utah, we saw them lose or win today. They have 78 points. They're probably not getting in there either. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. This is probably not the longest episode I've done. So like, this was probably, sorry if this was boring, or like you had to listen to me cheers random stuff to find an excuse to take a sip of my delicious beer. This is really good. I do beer reviews on Tap Sports as well. So I'm probably going to do one about this one. Yeah, actually, I will do that. Yeah, that's it. So you'll find a game recap out tomorrow at ontapsports.com. I will be posting a link to that in, I guess I could throw it in the description of the show. Why not? But that'll also probably be going on as a link in my Substack, where you can find this episode. But I'll throw the link out in the show notes once that recap is out. And the next game for the Blackhawks is actually on Wednesday, where we host the Colorado Avalanche at 8:30 p.m. Central. That's on Wednesday, so a couple of days off. And then afterwards, they go down to Washington, D.C. to get Ovechkin closer to his great chase, whatever they're calling it. And that'll close out the week. So thanks for listening. Please check out my Substack. If you don't want to, please at least check out my stuff at ontapsportsnet.com. That one, you should actually do that, because that's where all the stuff is at, and that's a really great website for Chicago sports. And then if you want to, you can see all the stupid stuff I say on Twitter at DirtyThird81. I'll catch you guys later. Take it easy.